Hello friends, in this video we are going to look at handling the keyboard in Java AWT. So here we will use a KeyListener and KeyEvent. So the prerequisite here is we assume that frame window was already created. If you want to know how to create frame window, watch the very first video in this playlist. So we say that we typed a key when we hit that particular keystroke in the keyboard. So for example, if you type a letter A, then we say that we typed the letter A. So that's the first type of keystroke. So we call that as a typed key. So we say that as a key typed. So for example, the letters A to Z, capital or smaller case, and then the digit 0 to 9, and then some special characters. So all those stuff we can say that typed keys. So there are other keys also. We call that as a control key. So the control keys are Shift, Alt, and CTRL, control itself. So these are all called the control keys. So there are some keys which you can type. There are some keys which you cannot type. So we call these as control keys. Then there are some keys which we call it as function keys. For example, the keys F1 through F12. So we call those as function keys. Then there are keys for knowing the status. We call it as a status key, or we can call it as a toggle key also. So the toggle keys shows the status of our keyboard keys, like caps lock, num lock, and scroll lock. So this key we call it as toggle keys. So all these keys we can handle using the keyboard, the key listener in Java AWT. So the Java AWT event system will send a key event, and you can handle those key events using the AWT key listeners. So let's say this is the Java AWT system, Java AWT eventing system. So this event system will send key event when you type a key, or when you press a key in the keyboard, or when you release a key. So all this time the Java AWT event injection system will send this key event. So you can type, or you can press a key, or you can release a key. So if you see, once again there will be a timing. Let's say you type a keystroke A and you hold down that particular key, then after some point in time you release the key. So let's say that you immediately released that key. So what happens here, we will get key typed, key pressed. Here you will get key released. So these together forms the key pressed, key typed. So you will get a key pressed, then key released, then you will get a key typed also. Let's say once again we will have the timing, and this time let's say you are using the keyboard character C, and you are holding down that C and you are not releasing it for a long period. Let's say you are holding down, then here you released it. So let's say here you started pressing it, here you started pressing it, and then here you released that key event. Here you released the keyboard button C. So what happens here, you will get a key pressed event. Then since it's a long period, you will periodically get the key pressed event at different time period. So the key pressed event is fired repeatedly. So this will be fired repeatedly. So at the end, once you release the key, you will get a key released. So since it's a long time period, if you see, you will get multiple key press. So let's say that in a input box you are holding down the C key for a long period. That's why you see multiple C in your text field. So you no need to release the key. So if you hold down the keyboard letter C for a long period, you will see the letter C typed multiple times. Why? Because it fires key pressed multiple time, and whoever implemented that text field, they process the key and they will type it in the text field in a repeated fashion. Alright, now let us look at the key listener. So the key listener provides three types of handlers, and those handlers are key typed, then you will get key pressed as well as key released. So key pressed, then you will also get key released. So these are the function that needs to be implemented when you are using the interface key listener. So once you implement, all this will get a key event as a parameter, and you can use that key event to know which key is pressed. So previously we talked about normal characters keys, or the key that can be typed. Then we talked about control key, then function keys and toggle keys. So the key typed, the best place for that is the key typed event handler. So in this event handler, you can use the key event to know which key is typed. So what you can use the get key char. So this will tell you which key is typed in. So which key typed, so that you can get using the get key char. For other like control key, function key and toggle key, you can make use of so the best place for those is a KeyPressed and KeyReleased, and you can use get key code method. So the key code will give you some integer constant, and you can compare that with the key event constants. So the key event constants starts with vk underscore. Then say for example, if you are checking for alt, then we can use vk alt. So we can compare this integer, whatever is returned by the get key code, with the constant vk alt. That means the event here is key event, right? So we can use this key event. We can use this key event to, and it's constant vk alt. That means key event dot vk alt. Then you can compare that with get key code method. So that will tell whether the vk alt is pressed down or not. So that will be fired in both the places, in released as well as pressed. So that means when user is holding down a for example alt key, then we will get the key event routed to key pressed. And if you see here in the timing diagram, if they are holding it for a long time, then you will get key event in the key pressed handler multiple time, and each time you can check whether alt key is still down. So when you receive the same key event in the released, that means let's say the user released the alt key, so you will get a key released event get fired, and using the same get key code method you can compare that whatever key released, that key is alt. So like that we can check. Now let's go to Eclipse and see how we can handle the keyboard events. So here we are going to use our previous example. So we are using the same mouse test panel. Here we already handled the mouse event. So for example, the mouse moved, mouse pressed and mouse clicked. So all the stuff we already handled. Right mouse clicked and middle mouse clicked. So now we will add keyboard event also here in this example. So the first thing is we need to implement KeyListener. You can see that it imported Java AWT KeyEvent.KeyListener. So once we imported that, we can add an implemented method. Let me save it. And you can see that we got three handlers. So one is the KeyTyped, and another one is a KeyPressed, and then KeyReleased. So in the frame window class, if you see, we already handled the mouse listener and mouse motion listener. Now we will register the key listener also. If you see here, this mouse test panel which implements a key listener also. Now the panel, if you see here, this is the mouse test panel which we already created. Now we will use that. Now we are registering the key listener. Since panel implemented key listener, we are passing that panel itself. So at this stage, our mouse test panel can receive all the keyboard events. That means it receives KeyTyped, KeyReleased, and KeyPressed. So we will get key event in those listeners. And if you see here, these are all the listeners, and we are getting key event. So in the previous example, during the mouse handling, we updated the status in a label called status. So this status label is received through the constructor, and this label is created in the frame window. So frame window is the owner for this status label. Then this status label is added to the south part of the frame window. So if you see, so this one is the label. Now we will use this same portion to update the key events. So first we will try to print the keyboard characters which is typed by the user. So here if you see what we are doing, we are first getting the status text. So this is our label control. From that label control we are getting the text and we are storing it in a string variable. Then we are making use of the key event. So this key event is from Java AWT event. So that event is fired by the panel. So the panel is the originator of the event, and here we are making use of that key event. Then we are making call to get key char. So this get key char will give you the typed letter, and we are appending the status label content with the typed character. Since we implemented this, now we will do a test run. So if you see, once I enter my mouse, you will see the status text that where is my mouse cursor position, and when I start typing the text, you can see that in the bottom label. So before that we have to click the panel so that it will receive the input focus. So this is just a mouse move, and if I type a letter A, it won't appear. Why? Because the panel is not in focus. So once I click inside the panel, it will get a focus. Now I will type the keys QWERTY. So if you see, I toggled the caps lock button. So the KeyTyped is not receiving that. So the KeyTyped listener, this listener will receive the character which can be typed. So we cannot say that I typed a caps lock or I typed control. So we usually say I pressed down the caps lock, or control or shift also will say I pressed the control or I released the control button. Right. So now let me type the characters QWERTY, KWERTY from my keyboard. So if you see here, we make use of the key typed handler and we capture the key which is pressed here. Next, we will use this key pressed and key released to check the status of Control Alt and Shift keys. Then we will use that in our mouse clicked. So we already have mouse clicked. There we will say whether the mouse button is clicked with Alt combination or Shift combination, or Control Alt Shift combination, or Control Alt Shift 3 key combination. So all the stuff we will do. So for that, first we need these three variables: Control, Alt and Shift. So initially we are setting these to false. Next, in the key pressed event handler, here we are once again making use of the key event, and this is the get key code, and the get key code will return a integer constant. Then we are comparing that with the constant which is available in the key event. So let me show that with IntelliSense key event dot. If I type vk, and you can see you can handle almost all the keys. So this will give you a idea of what are all the keys you can compare. Right, so now I'm typing just control. So this is the event, this is the constant I want to check. So likewise here we are checking the pressed key is Control or Alt or Shift. So we are just testing those status, the boolean to true when the specific key is pressed. So remember, this is a key pressed event, and if I hold down Control key for a long period, say for 10 seconds, then I may get this event multiple time. Then here in the key release, we set the status to false for all those boolean flag. So the code is the same, we just use the get key code, then we will check whether the released key is Control, Alt or Shift. So once again, the key pressed will get the key event multiple time when the key is pressed for a long time. But key released is a single time event. So you may hold a control key for 5 seconds, but when you release, it's just a one time activity. So during the release time, you will the Java eventing system will send the key event and route it to the key released handler. So you will get inside here only once when the key is released. So that time we are just setting the control key is the boolean flag to false. So for example, let's take Alt key. The user pressed the Alt key for 7 seconds, then they released it. So during those 7 seconds, the key pressed will get called multiple time, and we keep the Alt on status to true for the 7 second period. Then once the user releases it, the Java eventing system routes the key event to the key released, and there we set the Alt key to false. Now we will use this boolean flag to update our mouse click. So this is where we want to tell, right? So the aim here is we want to say left mouse clicked at so and so location with alt key pressed or alt key down. So like that we want to print. So here the mouse location is already printed. So let us run it again. So at present it is saying left mouse clicked at this location. Now we want to see whether shift alt key combination also there when the click happened. So here we already have the string variable out. There we are forming the output text, then finally we are setting the status label. So in between we will make use of these three Boolean variable and we will form our output text with the existing one. So what we are doing, so here sample 13 is inserted. Here we use one more string variable with, then when control key is on, then we say that with control, and if alt is on, with control alt. Like that we are forming the string. Finally we are checking at least one key is in pressed state. So then we say that whatever is printed here with left mouse clicked so and so location, that one, plus key state with control alt or shift or that combination we are stating here, and key pressed. Now let's execute this. So first I'm not holding any key now, and I'm just clicking the mouse, and it says that left mouse clicked at 361 200. Now I'm holding down the left control key. I haven't yet released it and I am doing the mouse click. So it states that left mouse clicked at this location with the control key pressed. So we can add a space here so that it will be more readable. This time I'm going to press both control and shift, then I'm going to click the mouse button. So it says that left mouse clicked at 206117 with the control shift key pressed. So both keys are pressed. So this is how you can handle the keyboard event. That's all here. So we looked at the key typed character. So we used the key typed event from KeyListener, and in the demo we typed the keystroke QWERTY and we saw that in the status text. So in the key typed event we used the get key char. So this one we used. Then here there are a lot of keys, but we picked shift alt and control in the example, and we handled those in a KeyPressed and KeyReleased. But through IntelliSense you saw various other keys also. So you just need to append vk underscore then all this key if you want to handle. So here in the example we used the shift alt and control, and so we used some Boolean variable to state that a specific key is pressed. Then in the key released we set the Boolean flag to false. Then in the mouse click event we know that the click is happening with these control keys pressed or not. So that's the example we created here in this demo. That's all here in this video. Thank you for watching. Bye.